So you found one glove, right? Is this what we're held up on?
Yeah, we have 1 year's supply of gloves.
Not here,
But
the
not
storage
here.
unit.
And I realized, I think what happened was, the gloves I've been wearing are extra larges.
Oh.
Because as I started to work, my gloves started like rotating and sliding off my hand. And it matters with the membrane because it's so sticky that it'll like grab your glove and try to yank it off. And this doesn't come off, but the extra larges, and then you drop the roll of membrane and it kills small children in Africa. So the moral of the story is, I need some gloves and they need to be the right size.
So this morning we got up fairly early, but we spent some time with Anna. She's been helping us the past few days on our property, and although we're not doing anything monumental per se, she's been a really big help. She spent an entire day just running errands. She got us 1 or 2 loads of water, picked up a lot of stuff around the property. Just a really huge help. She also spent a lot of time both raising Jesse and I up in the forklift, which is huge because when we're both working in the forklift, I'm usually the one to raise us up and down, and then I was having to either crawl up a ladder, crawl up the roof to the other side of the roof, or I was having to set up a ladder to the bucket. So this morning, something Anna wanted to do before she left was cut into some beautiful wood that she brought. She brought some cherry, which we didn't get a cut into because it's a little bit too big for a chop saw. So we put that in the boneyard to cut into at a later date. And then she also brought some, I believe it's Russian olive. And she just made a bunch of cuts thinking that maybe they'll be coasters or something. She said they're really fun to gift to people. Anna is an arborist, and it's her opinion or recommendation that if you're interested in woodworking and you don't know where to get some of these unique woods that are fun to play with, go talk to a tree company. A lot of these people pay to get rid of waste from customers' homes and whatnot. A lot of stuff like this, if you go send it to the dump, you actually have to pay a fee. So if you give them a call and let them know that you're looking for wood or whatever, a lot of times you can just show up to the job site and they're willing to load it for you. We follow a lot of really cool and talented woodworkers on places like Instagram, and it's just amazing the stuff they're coming up with simply out of scrap wood that would otherwise just go to waste or be chipped and sent off to the dump. You get the idea. Yesterday we finished putting the plywood on the east side of the house. We didn't really film because it was kind of a short task and we wanted to stay focused. And then we took the afternoon off to go find a lake that Jesse's been to, but Anna and I haven't been to it, and just spend some time together. We feel like a lot of times family comes to visit and they want to help, which is great and we appreciate it, but we feel like we don't get to spend a lot of one-on-one time that's not working. And when we're working, we don't have a lot of time to catch up on life. So that was really fun, but today we're back at it. Just one of the things Anna helped us with was cut all of this membrane that we need to finish membraning the roof. So this is gonna save Jesse some time today.
Anna's a lefty.
What did she do?
She put all the rolls on left-handed.
What?
So they're all upside down.
How's that even possible?
The sticky side goes down, not up.
Oh, Anna.
She's a lefty.
We want help, but we want right-handed help.
Right.
Our good friends, you know who you are. They're both left-handed in their relationship. And it works really well for them, I'm sure. But you get a right-handed person and a left-handed person hanging out together, things don't always go very well. So this morning, actually I think the goal today is to finish membraning the entire roof.
That's all.
That's it.
That's it.
We talked about it and I'm willing to help, but Jesse thinks that this really is more or less a one-person activity. So it's probably better that I work on other things around the property, maybe getting caught up on some videos, and just make myself available to him to move the forklift, bring him water, bring him tools that he hopefully doesn't drop off the roof. You get the idea. And if you guys feel you haven't seen Bugaboo much lately in our videos, it's because we haven't seen Bugaboo much in real life. For a period of like 4 days, we really only saw him or heard him when he came in at night to eat. He's just been MIA, doing cat stuff. In fact, 48 hours went by where we didn't even have a glimpse of him, but guess what? That little streak is over and he's sleeping in the RV again.
Oh, hey Buggerfish.
Bugaboo, they miss you. Oh, hey, Bugaboosh. Pretty special cat, guys. Pretty special cat. Alright, Bugaboo, sleep tight. Hold the fort down.
Looks like I'm out of staples. Send text message to Alyssa.
What do you want to say?
I'll be ready to come down in about 10 minutes.
Ready to send it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll send it.
Come get some shade love.
That sounds amazing.
We'll start to breakfast.
Oh, sounds even better.
Important question.
Yeah.
Should we add chives from the garden to our breakfast?
Yes.
We need to harvest them. I really want to cut the plant back and see what it does, and I also kind of want to harvest all the sorrel and turn it into sorrel pesto, which might mean a store run tomorrow, but I think we have to go to the store anyways.
Need to go
soon.
to storage.
Get cat food makings and
yeah, this mess isn't working very good.
The spaghetti squash is taking over everything, and since we're having a hard time working the sorrel into our daily diet, or that's not true, we're not eating it in large enough quantities, I think harvest and preserve.
I think pesto would be amazing. I want to make a pesto pizza.
Heck yeah.
With some sun-dried tomatoes, some basil.
It won't be a basil pesto, so it'll be kind of like a lemony pizza. But we could try it, or put it on the salmon we have from our Alaskan friends. There's a lot of things you could do if you have it. Yep. So make it, freeze it, save it for a rainy day.
Sounds good.
Look at our spaghetti squash plant, guys. This thing is going hog wild. The sorrel, actually it is doing okay. That's not bad sorrel. This plant's surviving. And somewhere in here is the other sorrel plant. And I'm pretty sure it's done. Yeah, that's way the heck down there, so might pull out what's left. Potatoes are doing well. I think it's time to probably take some of that mulch out and add more soil. And these are the newest potato plant. They're doing pretty well too, it seems. and our chives are hiding in here, and I don't think they're doing amazing either. We're kind of playing with spacing things a little bit closer than the package shed just to see what happens. And so far some things are definitely looking crowded out, but yeah, let's pick a few of these guys for breakfast. That's pretty good.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Breakfast of the champions.
This is roofing fuel.
Yes, guys, I blended this outside of the cabin as to not disturb the buggerfish.
Oh yeah, the buggerfish.
Huckleberry. Hope we didn't want to save them for ice cream.
Huckleberry magic.
I say, so long as fruit's being eaten, eat it.
Nailed it again.
The cabin, like outside the cabin says 98.
Right.
I don't know. Just, it's freaking hot.
I need 6.5 total.
Wait, you have one.
I have 3. This is 4 or 5.
Oh, gotcha.
Thank you. 5.
Words can't even describe how appreciative I am that Jesse's willing to do this for us without complaining, more or less. It's extremely hot out there. He's very worn out, so I can't blame him for being in a very terrible mood. Something in our relationship that we take pride in is that we don't keep track or keep a tally of who does what. So even though Jesse's doing a lot of the work on the roof, he doesn't then come back and kind of hold that over my head, saying like, don't you forget, I put in 3 weeks on the roof without you while you were enjoying the air conditioner in the RV. So because we foster this in our relationship, when Jesse is working his butt off and taking one for the team, so to speak, I make sure that I do everything in my power to pick up the slack wherever necessary, make sure to have the RV clean when he's done, make sure that I'm already cleaned up and showered, or shower second or whatever, so that Jesse can just get off the roof and make a beeline for the cold, clean RV. Make sure I'm cooking for him, bringing him smoothies, keeping his water filled, doing little errands that I can do on the ground so that when he's on the ground, he can just sit in the shade and hydrate. What the heck is that?
What does it look like?
Are you kidding?
It's my mercy machine.
Do you think it'll work?
How do you think we get such beautiful shots up here? My hair blowing in the wind.
Right, I know, a golden hour. Do you think it'll work? Oh my goodness, hold on. Wow. The truth about why we have grid power now.
Right?
Do you have any guilt or shame?
Freaking miserable up
Wow,
here,
that feels amazing. I can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
There's nothing better than hot air.
Can you run that while I'm running the AC?
We've been running it while you were running the AC earlier.
Right, but we don't know if it kicked off. I guess you'd hear it here. We'll see.
We'll see.
Oh, it's so hot.
So far today, things are going smooth. I feel like we worked a lot of the bugs out a couple days back, I guess. I kind of found a system where I can work by myself. And it involves basically using a utility knife to cut about a foot or so of the peel and stick, so that when I get up there, I can just reveal about the top foot or so of the membrane. And then basically just need to get it in rough approximate position height-wise and approximately where I want it to be left and right, and then put a staple in it and then kind of just push down on the membrane to get a little bit of adhesion. Then I roll it down about 10 feet or so. It still has the sticky protector on there though, so it won't stick to the roof. And that allows me to get about a 10-foot line where I can line it up with, like, let's say the seam. Then I roll it back up and I hit a couple staples in the top. And that, in theory, so far has been working well to pin the membrane in that position. Then as I pull the sticky protector off, almost every single time is nearly perfect, exactly right down the row. Rolling has been okay. I've been able to roll the seams, no problem, and that's the most important part. The body, not so much. So I'm not sure what to do about that, but I'm not really too worried about the body. I feel like if I can just kind of roll it a little bit, this stuff is so sticky, it's like tar. It's not really like a glue, and especially once the sun hits it, boy oh boy. So, rock and rolling, we've got to get a little bit more drip edge installed, and then we can keep rocking on the membrane. I think I might take a moment and just share a couple of things. This thought that I want to share could be really long, but I'll try to truncate it. We've had quite a few people on our social media accounts concerned, I'll say that, although some folks don't word things that way, about us installing the plywood vertically. In this situation, our furring strips, or if you want to look at it this way, it's what supports the plywood or provides bearing to the plywood, are also running vertically. So if we look at the way the cold roof is built, there's a 1x2 with the edge of a plywood bearing down on the 1x2. Mid-span, 2 feet on center, is a 1x2 furring. And then at the next panel edge, 1x2 furring, supporting the edge of the panel. In this orientation, the plywood has less rigidity. A lot of times, and this is where it can get long-winded, most stick-built homes use a truss or a rafter system. And the sheeting provides not only support for loading, but also for shear and rack resistance. So it is quite common, although not in every house, that the plywood would be run horizontally across the roof. The reasons for that are numerous, but the primary reason is because in that orientation, the plywood is able to bear more load with a certain amount of deflection. Also, these seams would be overlapped on that plywood. So if this row were your first row, you would stagger the next row. The reason for that is that plywood is what is tying the rafters or the trusses together. Sometimes there's blocking included also, sometimes not. So the plywood is performing multiple functions. In this situation, our plywood is fundamentally not load bearing. It also is not providing any shear or rack resistance. All of those functions are performed by the SIPs. They are our roof. So the plywood is supporting two things. Okay, three things. One, the membrane, right? That's load. Two, the roofing, which will be put on top of the membrane. And three, any amount of load that bears down on the roofing, which in this case, the only measurable or appreciable load could possibly be snow. We sat down and went through the APA, the American Plywood Association engineering tables, not because we're worried about the way we've designed this roof, but more as a exercise in discipline and engineering. The short version is that the way this roof is built, it will bear a live and dead load combined weight of 57 pounds per square foot. And that is with a length over 180 deflection. You have to remember that engineering is not done to failure, it's done to deflection. So if you put 57 pounds per square foot on this plywood, it will deflect this distance, 24 inches divided by 180, or 1/8 of an inch. A dead load is a static load that doesn't change. So the membrane and the roofing, those are dead loads. The total weight of our roofing and our membrane is 1.25 pounds per square foot. So if you take that out of the 57, you would end up with 55.75 pounds of load that is available for a live load. A live load is a load that is constantly changing. For example, snow, it comes and it goes. The snow load rating for our area is 55 pounds per square foot. So if you were to load this with the maximum snow load for our area, which is conceivable, it would deflect approximately 1/8 of an inch. And as soon as the snow left, which happens every year so far, the deflection would return to normal. So the worst case scenario is that on the horrible snow year, assuming that our roof does not do its job and the snow does not slide and it all builds up, we could expect maybe about 1/8 of an inch of deflection. And in the spring, it'll go right back to the way it was before. Another thing to factor into this conversation is the pitch of the roof. The thing about loads is that a load is many different things. So if my pencil represents a load, it cannot bear 90 degrees to the roof because the roof is angled at 45 degrees. That's because we have a roof that's a 12-12 pitch. So any load that is bearing on this roof is not bearing perpendicular to the roof like this. Rather, it is bearing like this relative to gravity. That's why, even though the APA says that this substrate in its current design is capable of holding 40 pounds per square foot at a 1/8 inch deflection, the reality is you could put 57 pounds in that same square foot because the roof is at an angle. So the load is actually bearing at a 45-degree angle. What that means is that a portion of that load is bearing to the side, and that's why the roof wants to slide. If it were all bearing straight down, it wouldn't slide, right? That'd be a flat roof. So hopefully that stuff, although detailed and a bit monotonous, is helpful for people who watch our videos and are wanting not advice on how to build a house. What we're trying to share is that the information is available for you, assuming you don't have access to an engineer, to sit down and figure these things out all on your own. We did consult with our engineers to verify what we interpreted the engineering calculations to be, and they agreed. We're very, very thankful for their insight and to have them there for us as a resource so that we don't feel worried. But in this situation, it's very reassuring when you can do the legwork yourself, find the resources, sit down, do the math, and then bounce it off of an engineer who can look at the same information and help you understand why and make sure that you're making a good decision for your house. If you haven't seen it, a video or two ago, we talked about why it is permissible to run the membrane in a vertical orientation. That's something else that a lot of people have objected to and said, you can't do that. I've never seen that. And we shared the information from the manufacturer, and it's been fantastic. We find these engineering guides from the manufacturers and the product associations to be very insightful because they understand all the many numerous or myriad of ways a product can be used. Sheeting a roof isn't always done one way. For example, what if we were to stick frame this roof instead of use SIPs, and we wanted to create the same 4-foot overhang? We might frame it this direction with rafters, maybe, probably not, because we have our timber rafters running this way, right? So let's say we stick framed it horizontally, north to south, to create an overhang. Well, at that point, we'd have some decision making about how to lay the plywood to provide the maximum amount of rigidity. The APA has a diagram for that. So you don't have to build a house one way, but it is wise to consult these engineering guides to make sure that what you plan to build will do what you think it's going to do. Look at that bug trying to get in there. He's probably small enough, he probably will. A little turd. Well, this end is coming to a close pretty quick here. I guess we can put one more strip of membrane on, but I need to move the forklift first. And then we're down to the last piece of drip edge, and then we can finish out the membrane. I have a hunch that most, if not all of that, is doable tonight. That would be crazy. The cabin says 104. That's disgusting. It's pretty hot up here. Yeah, if you could just move me over a little bit, that'd be great. Last time up. In the world is this garbage? Guess it happens once in a while. And the collated screw gun. Fire and screws, had one strip. I was like, oh, I took it out, I'll put it in by hand. And it was a Phillips instead of square bit. Well, that's it. All the membrane is on. I can't tuck the south gable edge over yet because there's a small chance we may need to trim the plywood on the edge there. I'm not really sure. I haven't really ever worked with the cleat that we'll be using for the metal roof, so I don't really know how the end of the roof has to be versus what can be tolerated. It's been a long day, so now we need to move to the west side. Feels frustrating because I feel like a lot of times we need like a day to get set up instead of a day of working. And tomorrow I think is supposed to be the hottest day we've had this year. But we got to keep working because the rain will come. The good news is Alyssa tells me she's made a wonderful video for you guys. I can't wait to see it myself. Yay! Done.
Wow. You're freaking amazing. I didn't finish my task yet, but the night's still young.
It is still young.
Bugaboo and I are enjoying the air conditioner.
He's still inside?
He's still in there. He's eating it up.
What a trooper
He's even
pooper.
curled a little ball because it's cold in there.
Oh, that's garbage. You guys suck. Look at me. I'm sweating my you-know-what off.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like a plastic wrap bomb went off around here.
Wow.
I don't know. Like, it's not hard. I just feel like I can't put enough hours in. I don't know. I can't work hard enough. I feel like I should have been done with this a week ago.
Yep.
And we're not even done with it yet.
Well,
So,
we're hauling now, but it was taking a while to get going, so.
do we at least get to have dinner out of the garden tonight?
Heck yeah.
All right. I can live with that. This side of the roof looks like a monster project. Even once that's done, we then need to go fill the peak of the roof, and the roofing will be here in 4 days. Guys, why do we do this to ourselves? Does anybody know? I don't know. Gluttons for punishment. I think the reason is so we can eat ice cream without guilt.